Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is you're tuning in. This is my response to the Blasphemy Challenge, which is really more of a comment regarding CIA's responses, dual responses to the same group of individuals. I had listened to those two, and they were the only two that had made any sense whatsoever or had attempted to be some sort of a formulated or educated response. Albeit Pat Connolly's responses were indeed funny and humorous. Um, they carried very little substance, but they were funny and humorous. So I'd like to give credit where credit is due. Um, but I watched perhaps 20 of these responses and was disturbed at how many young women in particular, women in general, responded. It appears they feel very disenfranchised with traditional Western culture and would like to disassociate themselves with it. I find that tragic, personally. But no one really took the time. There were some comments to CIA's response. Let me see if I can pull those up real quick. They were humorous. C Junk says, and if you've watched CIA's video, and I hope you do, you'll understand. He says, if such a thing was settled 800 years ago, then what about all those people, Christians, burnt to death for blaspheming Jesus by merely suggesting he didn't exist, had a wife, etc., etc.? He goes on to suggest that Jesus never existed, my friend. You need to do your homework. He asks, was it Augustine or Aquinas that liked the idea of torturing heretics before killing them? Chris Moore also comments, he says, if you still believe in Jesus, you didn't do your homework. And Chris, I'll simply refer you to all of the secular scholars in every accredited university in the United States and really in Western civilization. I take that query up with them. But, you know, C-Junk, you make some pretty bold claims here, and you know, as a Catholic, and given that we're discussing, you know, a period of 800 to 12 and 1500 years ago, I'd sure like it if you'd bring some specific examples to the table. If all of these violent acts occurred in history, surely you can come to the table in a response video and give me the information historically credible that I can refer to, and we can have a discussion, especially in context of the events that occurred. I don't think you've ever bothered to do that, and I would encourage you to. As for Augustine and Aquinas liking the idea of torturing heretics before killing them, it really, in your case, goes to religious freedom, and I think that it's ill-conceived and very, very wrong for you to take the time to dispute an individual or degrade an individual, or individuals in this case, whose works you've obviously never bothered to read. Their contributions intellectually, spiritually, to humanity, to Western civilization, are incalculable. Okay? You and I will spend out the balance of our days and die never having contributed even one iota of what these gentlemen brought to the foreground, which is why they're still popular reads today. Let's take a look at what Aquinas had to say. St. Thomas Aquinas, unbelievers who have never received the faith, Aquinas says, are by no means to be compelled to the faith in order that they may believe, because to believe depends on the will. Nevertheless, they should be compelled by the faithful if it is possible to do so, so that they do not hinder the faith by their blasphemies or by their evil persuasions or even by their open persecutions. Yes, that's right, the church was likewise persecuted. There's nothing contrary to the teachings of my church. This is hand in hand with the Vatican II councils, the Dignitatis Humanae states, in regards to its piece on the right of the person and of committees to social and civil freedom in the matters of religion. Number one, a sense of dignity of the human person has been impressing itself more and more deeply on the consciousness of contemporary man, and the demand is increasingly made that men should act on their own judgment, enjoying and making use of a responsible freedom, not driven by coercion, but motivated by a sense of duty. The demand is likewise made that constitutional limits should be set to the powers of government in order that there may be no encroachment on the rightful freedom of the person and of associations. This demand for freedom in human society chiefly regards the quest for the values proper to the human spirit. We all know what that means: no murder, no death, no stealing. In regards, in the first place, the free exercise of religion in society. This Vatican Council takes careful note of these desires in the minds of men. It proposes to declare them to be greatly in accord with truth and justice. Again, St. Augustine gives us many, many concepts which helped us deal with the development of the doctrine regarding invincible ignorance and the salvation of those who've never heard the gospel of Jesus. So I think that really CIA touches you know, on a lot of very good points here, and that when it comes to individuals not having done their homework, it really is quite an open and shut case. There's not much that can be said, especially if we want to compile the responses and say that these were valid challenges to the Holy Spirit, or even valid challenges to the dogmas of Abraham, as Pat Connolly would say. They weren't. They were emotional responses, as CIA suggested, and not very good ones. They were not very good examples of humanity relating to its conditions. I was disappointed, very, very disappointed. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Good day.